Okay, so y'all, I want to put together a compilation or a video. I know y'all probably be wondering why I always put up the videos about the mountain hikers and the climbers and the people that are getting caught out there in ships and, drowning in the ocean, doing recreational activities in the ocean and things like that. And just partaking in a lot of dangerous activities for their leisure. That, when I say for their leisure, I mean that they don't have to do it. They're doing it just for the heck of it. It's not something that they need to do or required to do for work or anything like that, or, something that's necessary. And so I wanted to put together a video where I am, where I just post up the different stories, because it just amazes me that people want to do such risky activities such as bungee jumping and drag racing and race car driving, even gymnasts and stuff, flipping and stuff like that. The little girl, Gabby Douglas, and what's the other one? The little girl, Simone Biles. Usually black girls don't partake in stuff like that, but they are, the best at what they do. But the gymnasts, they even take chances, risk, because if they fall and land a certain kind of way, they can break their necks. So I'm just amazed at how people indulge in such dangerous activities, and they call them daredevils. And daredevil, by the dictionary's definition, is a person who takes people who indulge in reckless behavior for money or attention, or for money or attention. Usually it's why people, or just the thrill of it, just the thrill of adventure. That's usually why people indulge in these activities, and so that's what the Bible said. In the end time, people are going to be lovers of pleasure, and they're going to indulge in stuff like that. But a daredevil, in a biblical term, is when, remember, the devil dared Jesus to jump off of, he dared Jesus to jump off of the cliff. He said, if you're God, then, save yourself, or, something like that. I'm not telling it exactly how it goes, but he told Jesus to jump off the cliff, take a chance and test his faith. And Jesus told him, you should not put God to the test. And that's what these people do when they do all these risky things. And so I'm going to make a video with all these different I'm going to make a compilation of all these videos of these people bull riding, these matadors, some of them as young as 12 years old, mounting Brahma bulls, wild bulls, and riding them for like 8 to 10 seconds. 8 seconds, I think, is it? Because that's after the movie named after that guy, the guy that played on 90210. He's dead too, I believe. Matthew Perry. He played the bull rider that got killed, and it's called 8 seconds because you have to ride that bull for like 8 seconds. And this guy, these bullfighters, they do it for money, they do it for glory or whatever, but there are so many instances where them bulls, they go out of control, and they buck them up and they knock them off of them, and them bulls gorge them to death. That is one of the most dangerous sports. They said bull riding, bullfighting, and bull running are the most dangerous sports, more dangerous than boxing and football. And these people as young as 12 years old, 14 years old, 19 years old, 25 years old, die from engaging in bullfighting, where they're fighting, riding, and running after wild bulls. That is the dumbest thing that anybody can ever do. But it happens. People play with their lives like that. What's that called? Gliding, hand gliding. They have these wing thing. Yeah, that is another one. They put on these wing suits and jump off a mountain. They climb the mountain, which is dangerous in of itself, and then they just jump off these things and do the wing diving, or what do they call it? They jump out of planes doing skydiving. Now, understand, the military, they do it. That's different. But some people just do it just for leisure, skydiving, just because they want the thrill of the adventure, or for attention. Like they climb the mountains just to get on top of it and then take selfies on top of the mountain just to say, ooh, look at me, look what I did. And it's just stupid. It's just silly, unnecessary risk taking. You're risking your life just for attention and money. And what's another one they do? Drag racing, bullfight, bull activities, pit bulls. There's a story I'm gonna post on here where a darn man got mauled by his own pit bulls that he was breeding. And even if you're a person that breed pit bulls are dangerous dogs. We had one when we were little, and it turned on us. One day when we walked to school, that pit bull turned on us. His name used to be called Lucky because he had like an L pattern in the top of his head. He was brown and had a white L in his head, in his fur, or whatever. It looked like an L, so we called him L for Lucky. Well, this dog turned on us when we went to school one day, and it had to take some people driving in a van to get him off of us. But he could have mauled us to death. My mom, she rest her soul, she always say, well, if he wanted to kill y'all, he would have just mauled y'all to death or whatever. This was supposed to be our pet, and he followed us to school, chased us to school, and was jumping on our backs and stuff like that. Like he did not, that was nothing no pet does. I don't know, maybe they do, but anyway, you're not supposed to keep pit bulls as animals. You don't domesticate pit bulls. That's why so many municipalities all over the country has banned. It's an outright ban on pit bulls. You cannot have them as in apartment buildings. A lot of them, they ban them. You cannot have them in certain neighborhoods. You cannot have pit bulls as pets. There's a ban on them. But you got these animal rights idiots that want to defend people having pit bulls. Too many times you will see on the news where pit bulls, wild dogs, have mauled little children. They've even mauled, grown-ups. And usually 9 times out of 10, it's a vicious breed like a pit bull or German Shepherd or Rottweiler or a Doberman Pinscher. But I'm going to post some videos of that too. Even when you have these dangerous breeds of dogs, you are taking an unnecessary risk. You see all the time families that have their children being mauled by dogs, vicious dogs that they had in the house. So yeah, I'm going to post a video about that. Skiing. Man, people skiing downhill, sometimes they fall off the lift, or either they slide down the hill and break their darn neck and bones and bodies and die. There's too many instances of that happening. Either if they do it for professional sport or in their leisure lives, they're doing it for the thrill, for money, or attention. Skiing. Yeah, it's just all these things that people do. Daredevils. That's what the daredevil is in a biblical sense. The devil dared Jesus to partake in a risky activity. Like the devil tell you go on that go on that roller coaster. It's fun. Go on, and then the roller coaster break, and then you break your neck like this little white boy did at Schlitterbahn. Out here in Kansas. Now that park is closed because that little boy, he was 10, I think, had no business being on that ride. They put him on that ride. He fell down off that ride, off that incline, broke his neck, died. And they just, what happened? It was a malfunction for one. He's 10 years old. He has no business being on nothing like that. Nobody has any business being on anything like that. You see too many times. They're at these amusement parks on these dangerous rides. Something malfunction, people die. Every now and then, God will show mercy. And like I said, these hikers on these mountains, that's the thing, the trend that just seems like, man, these people just want to climb these mountains, trying to be like Moses, trying to be like Jesus, and climb a mountain, and wind up getting stuck, stranded, or killed when they, are overcome by the elements, or either they fall coming down the mountain. It's always something, but they had no business being up that mountain in the first place. Moses and Jesus had supernatural power behind them going up those mountains. But these people, they just doing it. God knows why you're doing it. You're doing it for time, attention, money, or thrill, or whatever. You're doing it just because you want the thrill, or money, or attention. So God is not going to. Sometimes He's merciful and let you survive, but then sometimes He just lets you fall flat down off that mountain. Or hiking in a forest where dangerous bears and lions and tigers and bears is roaming around, and you want to hike in the forest. Oh, I went hiking in the forest, and I just got a picture of a bear, and then you get your butt mauled to death. Then they finding your body parts or finding your clothes tore where the bear that mauled you to death, or a wolf or something that mauled you to death, but you had no business being out there. Okay, y'all. So let's I'm back, and we were the last video I was discussing people who are like stuntmen and daredevils. And I was, trying to articulate what a daredevil is in my own opinion or my own perception of what a daredevil is. And like I said, from a spiritual sense, the daredevil is one who tests God, who engages in very highly risky, dangerous, reckless behavior as a way to test God and to test fate. And just pretty much playing Russian roulette with their lives, either for attention or money or just glory, for people to glory and marvel at them. That's the main reason why, or just for the thrill of the adventure, an adrenaline rush. Some people are just adrenaline junkies and they do these things. So either way it goes. So the dictionary describes, it says, the dictionary definition of a daredevil is a person who indulges in dangerous activities for attention. But I expanded that and I said that a person indulges in dangerous activities for attention, money, pleasure, or thrills of risky adventure. So, according to, that's Britannica, that first definition. Let me go back and look up what Webster says it means. But remember, I was trying to articulate when the devil tried to dare Jesus when he took him to the top of the temple. Let's see what this, Merriam-Webster, there it is. Merriam-Webster, daredevil synonyms. So, oh, my computer's moving so slow. It says, definition of a daredevil, as in reckless, foolishly adventurous or bold. And the sentence says, his daredevil stunts are sure to end in disaster someday. That's how it's used in a sentence. This is Merriam-Webster Dictionary. And some of the synonyms that words that it uses is reckless, adventurous, heroic, courageous, daring, brave, foolhardily, overconfident, brash, impulsive, foolish. Those are some of the definitions. But where is it at? It says a person who seeks out very dangerous or foolhardy adventures with no apparent fear. No apparent fear, especially as in the fear of God. They have no fear. Or they're just putting God, they don't fear God, so they test God. They put him to the test. So that's what a person does who's a daredevil. And so I asked ChatGPT to take me to the scripture where it says that the devil dared Jesus to throw himself off the top of the temple. And so I'm going to let you hear the answer that it gave, which was pretty much on point. It's just that I couldn't quite articulate it, but this is what it says.
In the Bible, the episode where Satan tempts Jesus is found in Matthew 4:1-11 and Luke 4:1-13. After Jesus fasted for 40 days and nights in the wilderness, Satan approached him with 3 key temptations. 1. Turn stones into bread. Satan said, "If you are the Son of God, tell these stones to become bread." Jesus responded by quoting scripture, "Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God." Deuteronomy 8:3. 2. Throw himself off the temple. Satan took Jesus to the pinnacle of the temple in Jerusalem and dared him to jump, saying, "If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down, for it is written, he will command his angels concerning you, they will lift you up in their hands." Jesus replied, "It is also written, 'Do not put the Lord your God to the test.'" Deuteronomy 6:16. 3. Worship Satan for worldly power. Finally, Satan showed Jesus all the kingdoms of the world and their glory, saying, "All this I will give you, if you will bow down and worship me." Jesus rebuked Satan. "Away from me, Satan, for it is written, 'Worship the Lord your God and serve him only.'" Deuteronomy 6:13. After these temptations, Satan left, and angels came to attend to Jesus. The story illustrates that Jesus resisted the temptations by relying on Scripture and maintaining faith in God's plan.
Okay, so that's what it was. That's in Deuteronomy. See, but we're not Jesus. Jesus is God in the flesh. So it was, he resisted. Well, he was all man and he was all God. But I guess in his human form, the devil did come and tempt Jesus and dared him to test God, because Jesus was all man and all God. So Satan came to tempt the human side of Jesus, to get him to sin against God by testing God and testing fate and playing with his life by throwing himself off the temple. Let's see, had he done that, the human side of Jesus would have committed suicide and abandoned his mission to come down here to save the world and die for the world so that we all can be saved. See, that's how sly that devil is. He's slick and sly. He said, if I can go to the human side of Jesus and try to convince him to throw himself off that temple, he can't save nobody no more, because he gave in to my temptation and he tested God and lost his life. So that's what we do when we partake in these reckless, dangerous activities. A lot of people don't look at it this way, because with these athletes that engage in these dangerous sports such as bull riding, hand gliding, skiing, even with boxers and football players, those are dangerous sports that can cause serious injury. Race car drivers, skydivers that only do it for sport and not for occupation or anything, or like the military. Some people, that's what they do. They do it for money mainly, though, attention and money, because athletes make a lot of money. They get the gold medals. They make a lot of money doing product endorsements, and they get prize money and things like that, trophies and things. So that's the reason why they do it. They do it for money and glory, fame. And then, like I said, some people are just adventure seekers. You take a person like Elon Musk, and that's a totally different subject. But he goes to outer space. But I guess it's not a sport, but that's still a dangerous, risky activity. He has so much money to where there's really nothing on Earth that he wants to do. So why not go and see if I can travel up to Mars and try to colonize Mars? But yeah, that's, him, Richard Branson. There's another billionaire guy that just paid and came back, went on a space exploration to Mars. The guy was loaded. He's a billionaire. They partake in that dangerous activity. And they do it for glory, because they don't need the money. They do it for glory and attention, and to do something that hardly no other human being has ever done, and to see places that no other human being has seen. That's why they do these things. So I made a compilation of videos to show you just how tragic these things can end. Remember the Space Challenger that blew up? When they tried to go launch it into space, it blew up in the sky. It lifted off and launched, and it just exploded in the sky. And there were no bodies even recovered, because it blew all of those 7 astronauts into ashes, pretty much. So yeah, with the sports, that's why they call them blood sport, because you can risk life, limb, life, just for what? Attention, money, and glory. So that's a good video. I'm going to post it up here. You can watch it, but until then, y'all be blessed and just learn something from these things. Because, if you go back to the scripture, it teaches you a lot about how you just don't put God to the test like that by playing with your life. There's nothing worth that.
That was solid. Oh, messed up on a connection. Yeah. We messed this girl up, I think, on the floor.
I don't think the only ones can do that. Jump up to a friend.
All right, gentlemen, if you will head over to the awards area, we'll start our awards as soon as the computers can come out.
Coming up, we'll take a look at the three Olympic all-around champions looking to make the US gymnastics team for Paris.
Today, oh wow. What is this move called?
That's an aerial, a cartwheel without your hands.
On that little bitty piece of wood right
Yes.
there? That's what it sounds like, right?
Bonjour, indeed. We're lucky enough to have Snoop as a member of our primetime team this summer during the Paris Olympics. Someone who is also hoping to be in Paris is Gabby Douglas. The 2012 Olympic all-around champion announced that she will be making her first competitive appearance in nearly 8 years next weekend at Winter Cup in Louisville, Kentucky. Douglas, now 28, joins a deep roster of US gymnasts hoping to make the Paris team, including two other Olympic all-around champions, Simone Biles and Suni Lee. Both Biles and Lee were at the women's national team camp in Katy, Texas, a few weeks ago. Lee, who since Tokyo has been diagnosed with 2 types of kidney disease, is looking to make her second Olympic team. Biles and Douglas are looking to make their third.
My goat necklace is just kind of an ode because the people love it and then some people hate it. So it's like the best of both worlds. And I was like, okay, if it goes well, we'll wear the goat necklace. I know people will go crazy over it. But at the end of the day, it is crazy that I am in the conversation of greatest of all athletes because I just still think I'm Simone Biles from Spring, Texas that loves to flip.
Video of a young black Irish girl who was skipped during a medal ceremony has sparked outrage and accusations of racism on social media. Her story even reached the top gymnast in the world. CBS's Haley Ott has the girl's reaction.
Every girl at this Irish gymnastics event gets a medal, apart from one. Video of a 2022 ceremony that began recirculating on the internet last week shows an official handing out participation awards to young gymnasts and skipping the only black athlete in line.
It was like, did it really happen? I couldn't really believe that did happen.
The young gymnast's mother, who asked that her family not be named, said her 10-year-old thought she'd been excluded because of the color of her skin.
She felt very upset about what happened. It's more like they almost blamed her for being black.
The next day, the girl's parents complained to Gymnastics Ireland, the national governing body for the sport.
What we wanted was a form of apology to show us, saying, oh yeah, look, this is from them. We all knew what happened, but kind of make her feel supported.
It was a year before they got a note from the official who handed out the medals, though the BBC reports she immediately wrote an apology that wasn't forwarded by Gymnastics Ireland. Jump to last Monday. After 18 months and the video being viewed by millions online, Gymnastics Ireland published its own apology, saying the situation should not have happened and that it condemns any form of racism.
They only sent an apology because the world wanted them to.
It was another message directly to the young gymnast that actually hit home.
It's Simone Biles. I wanted to let you know that I saw how you were treated at your Gymstar event recently. I was completely shocked and wanted to let you know that you deserve a medal just like all of the other girls.
With the support of her idol, this young gymnast says she'll keep going in gymnastics.
I was just jumping around all over the place and really happy because she's the best gymnast ever. I'm going to keep striving hard.
Haley Ott, CBS News, London.
You can see the excitement on this young man's face. He's about to ride a bull for the first time at the rodeo. But it ended tragically for 14-year-old Denon Bradshaw. He was trampled to death by a bull over the weekend at a rodeo in North Carolina. This is the terrible moment just before he was thrown from the beast. The bull apparently stomped on him and crushed his chest. Amanda Paquette and her 7-year-old son Preston watched in horror.
So the bull not only threw him, but then pounced on him and stomped on his chest.
Both of his legs together just came down and like in the trach area. He got up and took 2 steps, and on his second step is when he just lifelessly fell.
The 911 call.
Got a CPR in progress. Cardiac arrest. We're getting ready to do the first shock.
Are young people putting their lives at risk by riding bulls? At this Colorado rodeo, we saw a 12-year-old girl thrown from a horse.
It's fun.
Despite what they witnessed, Amanda says her son will participate in another rodeo this Saturday.
Is it worth the risk?
If it's where their heart is, absolutely.
12-year-old Michelito, a young Mexican matador, got more than he bargained for when he stepped into the bullfighting ring Sunday. As spectators watched in horror, a bull knocked him to the ground and then gored him before his father and other matadors rushed in to rescue him. A short time later, Michelito went back into the ring and the same thing happened again. But this time his father was knocked to the ground and then gored as well. Still, Michelito finished the show. Afterward, he was taken to a hospital for an x-ray. Luckily, doctors found no major injuries. Ross Simpson, The Associated Press.
it was red, and I went to move my hair, and it was more than hair. You don't realize how bad you are. I felt like I was in the biggest fight of my life, and I think the bull won.
In the end, it was AD and Royanne's lucky day. AD won the poker pot, and they both got out of the game with their lives.
One of Spain's top matadors has been killed after being gored to death by a bull. Victor Barrio was pierced in the chest live on TV and in front of hundreds of spectators, including his wife, at a tournament in the eastern region of Aragon. Despite being rushed to hospital, doctors were unable to save him. The bullfighter's death, the first of its kind in nearly 30 years, came as a 28-year-old man also died during a bull run near Valencia. Many towns in Spain are currently holding events involving bulls, including the world-famous festival of Pamplona, which saw 2 men gored on Saturday.
Fell in the middle of the tunnel right before the bulls all came in, so I have a couple hoof prints on my back, but other than that, I'm fine.
This year, nearly 30 people have been injured, some seriously, during the Pamplona festival. Risking life and limb, participants run through the streets of Pamplona's old town. While no one has died at the event since 2009, around 10 people are killed annually during Spain's famous bull runs.
It's called the running of the bulls. Some regard it as a disgusting display of cruelty, whilst others revere it as a decades-old rite of passage for young men. Every year in the Spanish town of Pamplona, men from around the world test out their bravery. Some would say their stupidity as part of the San Fermin festival. And every year some are injured and even killed. This year a Japanese man and a Spaniard were both gored by bulls. The festival continues for a week with morning bull runs, afternoon bullfights and all-night parties.
The brave souls that enjoy running with bulls were looking forward to the last run of the 2014 San Fermin Festival in Pamplona in northern Spain when this happened. This bull had broken away and he weighed in at almost 600 kilos. Scary. He gored 2 Australians and then 1 Spanish runner. Although most people were, of course, running away from the breakaway bull and trying not to get gored, the police are still looking for a runner who stopped to take a selfie. Some people are really tougher than us.
In Bandera, a rodeo where a young bull rider died last Friday will continue tonight.
22-year-old Peter DeLuna passed away after he was stepped on by a bull. This week, his mother told us he had picked up the rodeo sport just a year ago.
And now funeral plans are underway to lay him to rest. KENS 5's Sarah Duran joins us live now here in the studio. And Sarah, so why did organizers decide to move forward with this event?
So Phil, in an online post, organizers for the Riding on Faith Rodeo say they prayed about it. After leaning into their faith, they decided it was best to continue with the rodeo event. Now, this is a summer series that takes place Fridays at Mansfield Park in Bandera. Tonight, they will honor Peter DeLuna and dedicate the entire rodeo season to him. A week ago, the bull rider was competing in the arena when he was thrown off his bull. His mother says the bull then stepped on him and he died before he got to the hospital. She was fearful of the risk, but wanted to support her son's dreams.
I can't blame anybody for it. As bull riders, they know the dangers of going into this. So I'm just comforted that he's in a better place.
Yeah, and our prayers are with her for sure. Organizers say they will have a memorial at the start of the rodeo for Peter, and we are told the family will be there. They are asking contestants and spectators to wear blue or black, which were his favorite colors. Now, a GoFundMe has been set up to help the family with funeral and other expenses during this time. Now, to find it, you can just visit KENS5.com. Just click on the story. In the studio, Sarah Duran, KENS 5.
All right, thank you so much, Sarah. Definitely keeping that family in our thoughts.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pass along some sad news happening on the professional bull rider circuit. 25-year-old rider by the name of Mason Lowe. He was killed in a competition on Tuesday night. That happened in Denver.
And the PBR is in the Valley this weekend. Mark McClune spoke to members of the circuit who are trying to make sense of this tragedy.
Professional bull riders arrive in the Valley with a heavy heart. 25-year-old rider Mason Lowe was stomped by a bull on Tuesday night in Denver and died due to his injuries.
The last couple of days have been pretty rough for the entire bull riding community and PBR, but especially Mason Lowe's family.
He's the second cowboy killed on the circuit in its 26 years of competition. Lowe was wearing a protective vest during his fatal ride.
You know, there is no definitive answer to why that likely no vest, even a steel plate probably wouldn't have helped Mason survive.
Jess Lockwood is currently #1 in the world standings and will ride this weekend in his friend's honor.
It's a dangerous sport. Bad things can happen, but you don't ever think about those. You block them out, and you do this because you love it. I mean, if you didn't love this sport, there's a hell of a lot easier things to do without the danger factor.
The PBR plans to honor Lowe before their event at Gila River Arena in Glendale. Flint Rasmussen is an in-arena entertainer and called Mason a friend.
You feel bad for his family more than anything. Mason Lowe is a great guy. When I see Mason, I see him after a show holding a bottle of beer with his one false tooth popped out, giggling about something.
We lost a brother last night, and we thank you all for helping take care of his family.
Fans in Denver helped raise $80,000 for Lowe's family in a matter of hours. The show goes on this weekend in Glendale, something Mason's PBR family says that he'd want.
You know, maybe it is the on to the next one mentality that gets us through things. I hate to say we don't have a choice, because we do have a choice, but in a sense, in our minds, we don't have a choice. Saturday night, I'm going to step out in the arena and entertain fans.
A link to the Mason Lowe Memorial Fund can be found on our website. I'm Mark McClune for Arizona's Family.
19-year-old man from Elkridge was killed in a bull riding accident, and tonight his family calls it a tragic accident, saying bull riding was his passion.
KUTV's Amanda Gilbert is live at the fairgrounds with a reminder from his family.
Yeah, Tate would buck out bulls. He would kind of help contractors get bulls ready for events or rodeos. He died doing that at an undisclosed location in Utah, not here, but I'm at the fairgrounds because I know a lot of people in this area, they come out for the rodeos, and Tate would want people to continue to love this sport. Go, boys! Since he was young, 19-year-old Tate Anderson King always loved bull riding.
He literally took 2 lead ropes to a cooler at the age of 3, and we look over and there he is, just bucking away.
His mom and dad, Roy and Megan Anderson, say he rode his first bull in Spanish Fork when he was 12 or 13. This was his life, his passion.
His dream was to ride in the PBR one day.
He would tell his family and friends.
You just need to know that if I die, I'm dying doing what I love the most.
Sadly, Saturday night around 6.
When I called them, they told me that Tate was involved in an accident riding a bull, and the bull stepped on his sternum, and that I needed to get in my truck.
They drove to the hospital in Richfield, but he was life-flighted to Provo.
Taten's last words were his dad's phone number, and he kept trying to say them under his breath.
This family says this is just a bad accident. They know Tate would still tell people.
If it's in your heart and you love it, he would want you to live your dream. There is no other way that boy would have wanted to go in this lifetime. He is taken way too soon from us, but he would want you to live your dreams.
And the family says the bull that landed on Taten was actually his favorite bull, and there is a GoFundMe to help this family. They're struggling financially with that life flight. We're getting that on our news app. They are grateful for the community support. Amanda Gilbert, KUTV 2 News.
Anything until I looked at my sleeve and it was red, and I went to move my hair and it was more than hair. You don't realize how bad you are. I felt like I was in the biggest fight of my life. And I think the bull won.
In the end, it was AD and Royan's lucky day. AD won the poker pot, and they both got out of the game with their lives.
Professional alpine climber Michael Radner tragically passed away on October 7 while attempting to descend the north face of Janu East Mountain in Nepal. Radner, known for his impressive climbs of Denali's Isis Face, Alaska's Cassin Ridge, and the east face of Mount Hunter, was on his 3rd attempt at the over 24,500-foot mountain with his climbing partner, Sam Hennessy, who was reported safe. Sponsored by the brand Arc'teryx, Radner was remembered as a passionate, curious individual who loved sharing knowledge and connecting with others. This tragic incident echoes the loss of his father, George Gardner, who also died in a climbing accident in 2008. Michael Radner is survived by his mother, Colleen Gardner, and sister, Megan Gardner.
This woman faced a terrifying moment while climbing this mountain. She was so close to the finish line, with just a tiny ledge on the side left to reach. However, there wasn't a single rock she could grab onto, forcing her to rely entirely on her strength. As she was about to reach the ledge, her body began to give out. Everyone watching held their breath, unsure if she would make it. But wait! Before we see what happens next, like, subscribe, and share this video to give her the strength she needs. Miraculously, after catching herself from a fall, she gave it another shot, and finally reached her goal. What would you do in this situation?
Now, 100 years after a British mountaineer disappeared on an expedition to Mount Everest, climbers appear to have found his remains. Andrew Irvine, who went missing with the renowned explorer George Mallory, whose body was, of course, found in 1999. Now, a sock embroidered with Mr. Irvine's name, A.C. Irvine, and a boot have been found on the north face of the mountain, as Victoria Gill reports.
Sandy Irvine, seen here on the left with his companion, the great mountaineer George Mallory. Mallory was asked just before their 1924 expedition why he wanted to climb Everest. His famous answer? Because it's there. But the two explorers disappeared together during their ill-fated attempt to summit the highest mountain on Earth. Irvin and Mallory were last seen less than 300 metres from the top, sparking a century of speculation as to whether they succeeded in their goal before they lost their lives. Now, National Geographic filmmaker Jimmy Chin has led a mission that has found what's believed to be Sandy Irvin's partial remains. The team discovered a foot inside a 1920s leather boot with a name tag, A.C. Irvin, stitched into the sock.
Hopefully this leads us to have a greater understanding, a bit more clarity about the events of that fateful climb. That's the hope, and I think that in that lends the importance of the find.
A member of Irvin's family has volunteered to provide a DNA sample to allow the remains to be scientifically identified. And for the family, this is a moment to remember a brave young man with an appetite for adventure.
The story of Uncle Sandy has affected all of us. Although he's an important historical figure and his name is inextricably linked with George Mallory and Everest and the tragedy of 1924, he was a young man. He was 22. He was a great oarsman. He was a good skier. He was very popular with the opposite sex. He had lots of women who adored him. But above all, he was a young man who just took life and lived it.
The discovery has not solved the mystery of whether Sandy Irvin and George Mallory made it to the summit of Everest, but it has revealed that the site of his great adventure became Irvin's final resting place. Victoria Gill, BBC News.
Some people never stop chasing the adrenaline rush that only comes from performing the wildest and most dangerous stunts. And unfortunately, the risk is sometimes far greater than the reward. Here's a look at daredevils who tragically lost their lives doing insane stunts. Most of us don't need to build a rocket in order to know that the Earth isn't flat. Still, there are some people who are convinced that it's all a big conspiracy that literally every scientist in the world is in on. It seemed Mike Hughes was one of that handful of people who was convinced that the Earth is flat, but he wanted the rest of the world to be convinced too. So he built a rocket, which he launched from the California desert. That's one way to find out whether or not the Earth is flat. Those remote cameras should tell you everything you need to know. Except, he didn't just send up cameras. He wanted to see the flat Earth with his own eyes. Unfortunately, his rocket crashed shortly after launch, and he was killed before he could reach the hoped-for altitude of 5,000 feet. Hughes' publicist Darren Schuster told the New York Times after Hughes' death that Hughes didn't actually believe the Earth was flat. He said he was eccentric and believed in some government conspiracies, for sure, but it was a PR stunt. Either way, it's not quite clear.
I believe it is flat.
I believe you don't believe that, and you just want a free trip to space.
A lot of people think that.
Regardless, Hughes wasn't an amateur daredevil. According to the BBC, he'd successfully completed a lower altitude launch the year before his fatal attempt, and he set a Guinness World Record in 2002 for the longest limousine jump. So his fatal accident wasn't necessarily because he was an inexperienced daredevil, and there was definitely an element of very, very bad luck. Jessie Combs originally set the land speed record for a four-wheeled vehicle in October 2013. Her jet-powered vehicle hit 398 miles per hour, but Combs wasn't satisfied. She made a few attempts to bust her own speed record and clocked more than 483 miles per hour in those attempts. But the runs couldn't be recorded as records because of mechanical issues. Undaunted, Combs decided she was going to aim for 619 miles per hour. Ultimately, she wanted to beat Kitty O'Neill's land speed record of 512 miles per hour, which had been set in a three-wheeled vehicle in 1976. Combs was in her jet-powered car on a dry-leg bed in Oregon's Alvord Desert when USA Today says the front wheel suffered a mechanical failure, causing the entire wheel assembly to collapse. Combs had accelerated to nearly 550 miles per hour at the time of the failure and was posthumously awarded the world record. Human beings love competitive sports. Human beings also love to watch other human beings do ridiculously dangerous stuff. The X Games, which have been held every year since 1995, are a happy union of the two. Ridiculously dangerous competitive sporting events, complete with gold medals, prize money, and mortal peril. Still, despite a large number of serious injuries, the X Games managed to get through quite a lot of years without any fatalities, until Caleb Moore's freestyle snowmobile jump at the Winter X Games in 2013. Moore was performing in the freestyle snowmobile competition when he attempted a backflip at a speed that was a little too slow for the maneuver. According to Deadspin, he under-rotated and the snowmobile skis dug into the snow, flinging him from the seat. That might have been survivable on its own, but unfortunately, Moore's 450-pound snowmobile landed on his chest. Still, it looked like Moore would be okay. He actually walked away from the scene. A few hours later, though, it became clear that the accident had damaged his heart. He went into cardiopulmonary arrest and died a few days later, becoming the first X Games fatality. Base jumping carries a 1 in 2,317 risk of death. Sounds pretty safe, right? That's per jump, though. So if you jump 25 times a year for 10 years, well, you'll probably like those odds a lot less. Base jumping websites even admit it's dangerous. Heck, danger is part of the appeal. But unfortunately, it's also why we really shouldn't be surprised that there were so many deceased base jumpers. Uli Emanuel was famous for a wingsuit jump through a 6.5-foot wide crevice in a Swiss mountain, which is widely thought to be the most difficult wingsuit maneuver ever accomplished. But even the best base jumpers are vulnerable when they're flying around the mountaintops at speeds exceeding 100 miles per hour. And Emanuel's luck ran out while he was shooting video for GoPro in the Dolomites. According to the inertia, Emanuel lost control during a jump and crashed into the rocks before he could deploy his parachute. He was 29 years old. 60-year-old Angela Madsen was a Paralympic rower and an inspiration for anyone trying to come back from a serious injury. Madsen was injured while playing basketball in 1981, and a botched surgery cost her the use of her legs. In 1997, she became a competitive rower, and in 2012, she won a bronze medal at the Paralympic Games. Madsen's ambitions went a long way past rowing in competitions, though, and in 2007, she became the first woman with a disability to row across the Atlantic Ocean. Then in 2009, she became one of the first 2 women to row across the Indian Ocean. She then set her sights on the Pacific. This time, she planned to go solo. Tragically, Madsen died 60 days into her attempt to row across the Pacific Ocean alone. In her last communication, she'd mentioned that her boat needed repairs, but by the next day, she'd fallen silent, and tracking data indicated that the boat was not being rowed. The Coast Guard found her floating in the ocean on June 22, 2020, still tethered to her boat. So far, no one knows the circumstances that led to her death.
Owen goes second quick at 14.110, 14.110 for Owen. He is way up high on the banking. Chasing that 86 car out in front. Sheffers, look out, Owen into the fence, and he is over big time. Down at turn number 3. Fire and safety quickly on the scene.
Moses Lake Air Show guests waited to see a local stuntman attempt a world record motorcycle jump.
Everyone that was around there was traumatized by that. I knew today coming out here that could be a chance. I really hoped it wouldn't.
A KREM 2 News crew was also there and captured the crash, but we will not be showing it out of respect for him and his loved ones. The Grant County Sheriff's Office says Alex Harville went to do a practice run of more than 350 feet.
The next thing I know, he went off of the ramp and he didn't make it to the hill. His back tire looks like it got caught. And then he flew through the air and his helmet came off. And then you just start praying.
Debbie Williams, who says her son is close to Harville, says his jump fell short. The sheriff's office confirmed his death after being airlifted to a hospital.
I'm a nurse, and so that to me was traumatic, watching him with the helmet coming off.
The organizer of the air show told me they had medical personnel prepared for Harville as they knew this stunt was risky. According to our video, it was about 2 minutes and 30 seconds before an EMT reached him after the crash. This kind of crash isn't uncommon in the sport, according to the Legend of Neville, the brand of American daredevil Robbie Neville. They gave their condolences to Harville's family and friends and then said, "We would like to take this opportunity to remind people that such stunts are to be taken very seriously as the potential for tragedy exists."
And we're here for anything. We'll help with anything.
His family gave us a statement. While this was obviously a very tragic event that unfolded, Alex was doing what he loved to do, and we thank everyone for their outpouring of support.